All right, he's just back from his world tour, and I'm wondering if taking this 8-day trip around Europe was one of those party like a rock star things. What do you say, Randy?
No. We had a very busy trip. We stopped off in Sweden and talked to military and political leaders there about their concern about, Russia. Then we went on to Israel, where we met with Prime Minister Mr. Yahoo and Netanyahu, and then on to Amman, Jordan, where we met with King Abdullah and some of the military leaders there. And then also, while we were in Jordan, had an opportunity to go to the Zaatari refugee camp, which is a camp that has about 70,000 refugees in it. So we got a pretty good look at, the threats that people in Europe and the Middle East are concerned about right now, and what the state of play was.
Well, I'm just kind of curious. Obviously, they knew that you were with the United States government, but what was the reception like? And I mean, as far as socially, were you appreciated? Were people standoffish? Were they saying, USA, USA, or it was like Yankee go home, or what?
Well, those places we visited consider U.S. to be a major ally, and they're very pro-U.S. I mean, we have a good relationship with Sweden. We've been in talks with them about them joining NATO. They have not been a NATO member for a number of years, but they have recently signed an agreement where they would start participating in some of the NATO exercises because all of a sudden they wake up and realize that their neighbor, Russia, is in the vicinity and a potential threat to them. And obviously Israel considers U.S. a major ally, and Israeli people were very gracious to us, very appreciative of the commitments that America made, as was the people of Jordan. And so we were, I felt well received. We had extremely informative talks. We had a lot of classified briefings on, some of the state of play. We went out to, I'm sure some of our listeners have heard about the Iron Dome program, which is kind of an anti-rocket program that protects Israel. We went out and saw a anti-dome site. An Iron Dome site, and watched it operationally and got a briefing on that. Also, Israel's bringing in a David Sling and the Arrow program, which gives them protection from longer-range rockets. And so we were briefed on the aspects of that as well. So it was as I said, extremely informative program.
I'm just kind of curious because the way that the relationship between Israel and the United States is portrayed, it's kind of up in the air as to knowing really what the reality of the situation is because Netanyahu comes to, the United States and, it appears that, he isn't very well received by the administration and then, addressing Congress and then there's this uproar of, violation of protocol. I mean, what in your perception actually being there, what is the actual status with the relations between the United States and Israel?
Yeah, well, I think one of the things, and I think you make an important distinction there, I was there representing Congress, and I think what Netanyahu realizes is this Congress, in a bipartisan way, has been very supportive of Israel. And so, I don't think he was, his feelings about the U.S., Congress are different maybe than his feelings about this administration. And so I felt like he was warmly embraced, the Congress, and was appreciative of the programs and support that we've given him, and also, the fact he was invited to come and address a joint session of the House and the Senate. So I think maybe there could be different feelings there.
All right, we're in conversation with Congressman Randy Neugebauer. If you'd like to ring us up, 770-5790. Right now, 743. Good morning. Good morning. Right now, 747. Tom Collins. It is Monday, back from the weekend. Here's my friend Laura Mack.
Yeah. Good morning, Randy.
Good morning, Laura. How are you?
Good. We were just, I guess I should say Congressman. Sorry. We are on first name.
Randy is everybody else in the district calls me Randy, so
Randy.
Sorry.
Which is what I like, actually. Yeah, I like that.
What is the latest going on with Puerto Rico right now?
Well, funny you should ask about that. It looks like that bill will finally be on the floor this week. They've been in negotiations with the White House and the Senate and the House. I think the leadership has come to an agreement, and I've been out of the country last week, so I haven't had a chance to review the text. I've seen an outline of it, but very well could see that voted on this week.
Okay, as far as voting on it, bottom line is, are we going to bail them out? I mean, because
that's one of the things that's really been holding up the negotiations, because I think a number of members, including myself, have been very clear that we're not up for a bailout. But basically, what the Puerto Rico plan will be is that a review board that will be put in place that will basically be the veto power for their workout plan. In other words, this review board will be basically in charge of many aspects of the economy in Puerto Rico, and working with the creditors and the government of Puerto Rico to come up with some kind of a restructuring plan, and then a plan to get that country back on some kind of a fiscal track where they won't be running these deficits, to be able to get their economy back going again with some reforms, and then also addressing their infrastructure. Puerto Rico's infrastructure is in terrible shape. Their electricity costs are 5 or 6x what other parts of the world are paying for electricity. So basically, this review board, control board, will be kind of the main governments for at least a few years until they get back on track. But no taxpayer money be funded for any of the debt for Puerto Rico.
So in other words, in your opinion, a bankruptcy and a restructure and alleviation of debt is off of the table?
Well, basically, it'll be restructuring the debt. Now, whether they will be an actual bankruptcy, they're not allowed to have a Chapter 9 bankruptcy. But they can renegotiate their debt and restructure their debt. I think what most of the creditors realize is they're probably going to take some kind of a haircut because they owe a whole lot of money, and their ability and capacity to pay that back is limited now and probably somewhere in the future as well. So
when you're talking...
So they're going to have a restructuring. I don't know what that looks like. That's what this review board will be looking at. But I have a feeling that some people are going to take a haircut.
Congressman Rob Snyder here.
Robert, how are you?
Doing good. Do you think at some point with the Puerto Rico situation be better to either have them become a 51st state or just have them become fully independent, not under any U.S. control or help anymore?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's an issue that's been going on for a very long time. And even among the Puerto Rican people, they're mixed. Some people want to be a state. Some people don't. They want to stay. And I think mostly the people of Puerto Rico like being a territory because they like being American citizens. The statehood issue has proponents and opponents, but really it's never been able to reach a consensus on that.
Well, what's your opinion on statehood for them?
I'm not supportive of them being a state.
On top of that, I mean, if they do come in as a state, we'd have to rework the flag, man. 51 stars.
Well, and it has.
This is not okay with me. All right.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's a very politically hot issue, but right now the focus is not about whether to make it a state or not. Is to try to stabilize the territory that belongs to the United States of America. And I think that's what people understand. That territory belongs to the United States. they're American citizens that are down there.
Right.
And we're going to try to see if we can come up with something that gets that territory back on.
Hey,
track.
Randy, when we come back, I've got another question for you relative to Puerto Rico and what it means to the U.S. military. It's 7:52. Good morning. 7:56. Good morning. Tom and Laura in conversation with Randy Neugebauer. Okay, Randy, I know when I was a kid, relative to Puerto Rico, I'm just, my aunt was stationed there in the Air Force, so I'm just kind of wondering what's the deal with the military presence there? Is it like just totally off the table now?
You know, there's still a military presence there, but not near what it was in the past. In the past, we had a pretty big naval presence there, as well as an Army presence, and that has been diminished over the years. And I'm not sure exactly what the total number of active duty people that are in Puerto Rico right now, but I do know that it's a smaller number than, after World War II.
Yeah, okay, and we had a drive-by caller that just posed a question, $19 trillion in debt. How do we afford to help Puerto Rico in any way, shape, or form?
Well, that's been the discussion, and so there'll be no taxpayer funds go to Puerto Rico. Basically, they're going to have to, within their own country or their own government, figure out a way to get their spending in line. They've got to probably reform their pension plan. I mean, there's going to be a number of steps, but we've been very committed not to put any taxpayer money into Puerto Rico.
Are people, is this a bipartisan thing, or do you have opponents that say, what's this we stuff?
Well, I think that's, there are going to be people that are going to be opposed to it. I think one of the concerns people have is this is just a precursor then to start having to do the same thing with California or some of these other states that are having financial problems, and are we setting a precedent here? Then there are people saying if we don't do something to get Puerto Rico working on their problem, then there will be a bailout because there'll be anarchy in Puerto Rico, and there'll be a great deal of pressure, to bring some kind of aid to Puerto Rico. So I think it's the question: do we act now,
right,
or do we wait and see if things get better in the future? And I think a lot of people think we need to do something now.
Okay,
but
I know.
No bailout.
I know that while you were away, you come back and we had some serious weather events. We just got a few seconds left. What's your thought on the Fort Hood thing?
Oh, we were saddened to learn that. We learned that while we were traveling, and also about the Blue Angel pilot as well. So it was a tough week last week for the military, and our thoughts and prayers go out to the families for those fallen soldiers. What we realize is, they're in a dangerous game, and even the training sometimes they pay the ultimate price.
All right, Congressman Randy Neugebauer, thanks for ringing us up this morning.
Thank you.